This week on TechRap, the rumors were true. Nokia is working on an aluminum version of the Lumia 920, but it's not yet quite what we expected. After releasing a redesigned newsfeed, Facebook announces improvements to timeline. And Samsung unveils the Galaxy S4. Was it worth the hype? Stay tuned, this is an episode you don't want to miss. Hello from Times Square in New York City, I'm Michael Josh, and this is TechRap. After weeks of build-up, teasers on Twitter, a 3-part video series on YouTube, and even a flash mob right here at Times Square, Samsung finally unveils its latest flagship smartphone, the Galaxy S4. The glitzy launch event took place at the Radio City Music Hall here in New York City. The S4 is the first smartphone to feature an 8-core processor and comes with impressive specs like a 1080p high-def display and a 13-megapixel camera. According to Samsung Asia President and CEO Gregory Lee, the phone represents the future of Samsung.
It's lighter, it's thinner, and I think it's got like a jewel look. We think of the design as a refined piece, but we're really focusing on software and ecosystem and content applications. Well, the whole point about Live Companion is we're applying our technology for hardware, software, and ecosystem really into something that is very useful and relevant to people.
TechRap got some private one-on-one time with the device. Check out our hands-on review at the end of the show. But first, let's take a look at some of the other tech headlines which have occupied the news this week. First off, rumors of an aluminum version of Nokia's Lumia phone have kept fans on their toes for a while now. We've mentioned Project Catwalk, a new phone that will fuse together the best features of Nokia's flagship phone, the Lumia 920, and the year-old 41-megapixel shooter, the PureView 808. This isn't quite what came out in reports this week, but it's close. Tech news site The Verge reports Nokia is reportedly planning on releasing an aluminum version of the Lumia 920 called the Lumia 928. The variant will be noticeably slimmer, will have a squarish form factor reminiscent of the recently announced Lumia 720, and dumps Nokia's trademark polycarbonate casing with an aluminum shell. Google Now, the smart and almost creepy-like software built into Android phones, may soon find its way into Chrome browser for Windows, Chrome OS, and even possibly iOS. In 2 separate reports this week, enthusiasts found clues of this yet-to-be-announced project. References to Google Now are seen in the latest version of Chromium, and in this low-res video posted on YouTube, which appears to be a promotional video for Google Now for the iPad and the iPhone. When enabled, Google Now gives users contextual alerts with information they might need to know. The goal is to expect your need and deliver search results even before you ask for it. For example, if you're walking down the street, Google Now might pop up suggestions about possible restaurants it thinks you might want to try. Ready or not, more changes are coming to Facebook. After last week's unveil of its newest redesign for Newsfeed, this week, Facebook begins rolling out a redesigned timeline. Facebook, aiming for a cleaner timeline layout, will put all of the posts on the right side, while the other posts, music, and other recent activity will be on the left side. The new timeline will also let users organize the About page. Apps like Flixster and Netflix will let you add movies you like or are currently watching. Frequent Instagram users can also make their photo stream a section on their timeline. Facebook says the improved timeline will be rolled out in the coming weeks. With me right now is the much anticipated Samsung Galaxy S4, and let me walk you through some of the device's new features. Of course, what pops up is the new vibrant screen. It's a 5-inch screen, one of the first few phones in the whole world that has a 1080p Full HD display. Interestingly enough, this device actually looks pretty much like the last Samsung Galaxy S3. I really like this aluminum bezel. I'm not really sure if this is aluminum or some kind of plastic, but I'm really digging the construction and the build of this phone, even though it's still the same plastic finish that we're used to. Inside this device, 2 gigabytes of RAM, 16, 32, or 64 gigabytes of memory, and inside you can expand that to up to 64 gigabytes. This device comes in 2 variants, one with an octa-core processor, 1.6 gigahertz octa-core processor, and another with a 1.9 gigahertz Qualcomm Snapdragon processor. Now, if you can see, Samsung really is branding this phone as a life companion, a phone that you can go through life with. One is fun, second is creating relationships, next is being able to do life's tasks, and then last is health and wellness. So let me just run over some of the new features of the phone with you based on those 4 different things. If you look in front, that's a 2 megapixel camera over there. Let me zoom in for you. And in the back, a 13 megapixel camera. A couple of weeks back on TechRap, if you remember, we featured the Samsung Galaxy camera, and it's actually borrowing some design elements or some software elements from that. So there's a new mode button, and if you press that, you can actually select different features. Their new 2-cam view. It's called dual shot mode, and you can shoot videos and or photos using both your front-facing camera and the main camera at the same time. Samsung is also hoping to feature on relationships, and they believe the world is much more global now. So they've added a couple of new features, for example, to their chat on application. Now you can now make 3-way video calls. You can use, again, 2 cameras at the same time. You can share your screen or even share your annotations all from the chat on application, which is the default chat client built into Samsung smartphones. Now, another interesting feature, which is probably even more exciting, is group play. Basically, it works using both NFC, or near field communication technology, and the built-in Wi-Fi of the device. And what you can do is play games at the same time with your friends. Right now, there are 2 games that you can use, Asphalt 7 from Gameloft and Gun Brothers 2. And it doesn't require any data connectivity, no wireless access point, and you can be able to play games together. Now, this is probably one of the most exciting features. They call it Hover. And this is Flipboard, one of the third-party apps that uses the new AirView technology. And without touching the device, it'll give me the last 3 available articles. So I can just hover, pick an article like this one on the Samsung Galaxy S4, and jump to it. Screen. This is perfect if, for example, I'm having breakfast or having a meal and I don't want to ruin my screen by touching it. Gestures also work with the browser. So, for example, let's go to Rappler.com. You can now scroll up and down using hand gestures. Of course, as you can see, it's not as quick or as responsive as you want it to be. But definitely it's a start, and probably with a little bit of getting used to, these gestures will come in really, really handy. Now, another interesting feature is that they built has to do with health and wellness. Now, this phone has a built-in pedometer, and it can automatically calculate how much steps you've taken, how much stairs you've climbed, and it can graph that over time and give you some stats. It works with an app called S Health. And right now, it tells me that my surroundings are poor. It can measure different surroundings. You can input data, and then what kind of food you've eaten, and it can compute how many calories you've intaked, you've had for the day, and then based on how much you've done, you can actually check how much calories that you've burned. And it comes with an optional accessory, an armband. So when you go running and you leave your phone behind, you can have the armband measure that data and take it for you. So that is our hands-on review with the Samsung Galaxy S4. And that was TechRap. Next week, we'll be back in Manila, where we'll bring to you 2 reviews of the 2 new BlackBerry smartphones, the Z10 and the Q10. You don't want to miss it. You also don't want to miss news events as they happen, so do follow Rappler.com on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram. We also have an iOS app, so to get the Rappler experience on iOS, download it. We've just pushed out version 1.1 that improves performance. It's free on the iTunes App Store today. Also next week, I'll get back to your tech questions. So do send them in. Send me an email at techrap@rappler.com or on Twitter using the hashtag TechRap. That's all for this week, folks. From New York City, I'm Michael Josh. Thanks for dropping by.